Welcome to the Senior Citizens Talk of HICGI News Agency. My name is Chivumbi Ernest Benjamin, here in the heart of Uganda, capital Kampala. We are privileged tonight to be hosting Professor John Galiotos from the Southern University, Shreveport in Louisiana, United States of America. And he is an associate professor of chemistry. All our viewers from around the world, from Israel to Iran to United States of America to South Africa, we welcome you. Professor, welcome to HICGI News.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Let's begin by a very profession that you are doing. You are a professor of chemistry. When I was young and in the secondary school, I was studying about nuclear and how physics and chemistry are very, very important subjects for the manufacture of nuclear energy. Of course, there are few countries on earth who are owning nuclear, and one of them is United States of America. We have Russia, we have China, and all other countries. Do the world still need nuclear?
Again, thank you for this very important question. We do and we don't. It depends on the needs. If the needs are such that nuclear energy is required, then we proceed to do so with the proper conditions of safety and manufacturing energy are in place. The most important component for nuclear energy is not only to produce it, but also to understand how to treat the wastes.
Okay.
The waste from the nuclear reactor that is going to be used to heat up the water, to turn a turbine, and electrical power is generated. Before, however, we reach at the level of do we need nuclear energy or nuclear power, is have we exhausted all the resources of the country to generate energy? And therefore, if we have, but we need a small amount or whatever, then proper thinking has to be in place so that nuclear power is used for the good of the people, not to show power to somebody else. And molecules are there to do things for us, useful things. However, if we use them for purposes that are not useful to the humanity, then we ought to be thinking about it very carefully. So what I see is that nuclear power is a tool for the betterment of humanity when it's properly used for the betterment of humanity, the environment, people, etc.
The risks of nuclear, we've just seen recently the Fukushima nuclear plant, and there's a great catastrophe that happened. Should we be more mindful of such risks of having nuclear energy like how it was in Japan?
Absolutely. We have to be mindful of this. Again, nuclear energy or nuclear power can be a catastrophic tool, or it could be extremely useful tool. Humanity manages nuclear power. Nuclear power, it does not manage humanity.
Oh my God.
So the bomb in Hiroshima was dropped by an airplane. Okay. There were the conditions then, and the situation was different. But we see the results of a nuclear bomb explodes. We understand that. Question is, we ought not to be fearful of nuclear power. Again, as I shared earlier, how can we utilize the benefits of nuclear energy and nuclear power for the good of humanity? Step by step, by step by step, measure results, identify best practices. Do we need to produce more energy from nuclear power than we need to? Are all the other resources exhausted that are more environmentally friendly? And do we, the waste, again, from the nuclear energy or nuclear plants, what do we do with them? How do we store them? How do we dispose them? So it's not, just use nuclear power, have nuclear power because of the word nuclear power. We have to be strategic. We have to be careful. We have to have a plan. We have to know the timelines of the nuclear energy, its utilization, how long does it takes for the waste to be completely dissociated, where they were going to be stored, how the impact of the stored nuclear waste is going to be to the environment and so forth. There's a gamut of thinking, strategies have to be in place when it comes to nuclear plant. And then the operation of the nuclear plant, the maintenance of the nuclear, and above all, no matter what, humans operate the nuclear plant and have to be properly trained, educated, understand the safety of the processes they are.
We are still on the Senior Citizens Talk of HICGI News Agency with Professor John Galiotos from the Southern University of Fishfire in Louisiana, Associate Professor of Chemistry. Professor, several countries are trying to acquire nuclear weapons. And you've just said that it is the humans who control the nuclear. Mm-hmm. Would you support those who want also to acquire nuclear weapons to acquire them, or they should not, they should reserve it to those ones already who are having it?
Well, to have nuclear weapons or look for to buy nuclear weapons, I have to ask for what? Is there a threat? If there's no threat, why should they waste their time to buy nuclear weapons when governments can spend useful time for the betterment of their citizens, in infrastructure, in health, in other means of keeping the people safe, and other means of generating power to be used daily as needed. So I don't understand sometimes why countries have to buy nuclear weapons. There's no need for that. Is this to show off of strength? It's ridiculous sometimes when things like this happen. And first is the health of the people, the safety of the people, the education of the people, meeting the needs of the people in that regard, and then the people have to respond back to their countries. As John Kennedy said, it's not what the country can do for you, it's what you can do for the country. So buying nuclear weapons, how do you explain this to the people? Who the threat is? You understand? Yes. Because these things, this equipment, these systems, these units, anyway, safe form you call them, they're for a purpose. And if a country have nuclear weapons, you understand the country next door is also going to look for nuclear weapons. Okay? And therefore, always humanity looks for an equilibrium, so inequality. So we're equal. So what is the purpose? So one is going to be afraid of the other, and the other is going to be afraid of the one. Okay? So what is the purpose for that? You understand? Yes. So that's it's a long-term thinking. I think if there's a purpose that is extremely important, life or death, or otherwise there's no way out of this, perhaps a consideration may be discussed. The last but not least is, if I need to buy nuclear weapons, I need to listen to the other people who have nuclear weapons. How do you keep them? How do you maintain them? Do you use them? Why do you have these nuclear weapons for? Where am I going to keep them? If I keep them in a place where somebody else is going to attack and destroy them, what is going to happen? Is my country going to be contaminated? You understand? So when I listen to these things, and I'm asking myself, have they done their homework? Very simple questions. So people need to start asking the fundamental questions and pay attention to the fundamentals. Why do I need them? And if I have them, what am I going to do with them? Nothing. Okay. Why am I spending so much time and energy and money to maintain nuclear weapons that I will never use? You understand,
Wow,
right?
Wow, I can get the point.
So, but they told us to buy them. Who is they? And you understand, that goes on, on a different subject. But I was trained and always advise my advisor, always ask why. And what is the purpose? And what is the benefit? And if there's no purpose and benefit, why am I doing that? You understand? Okay. I hope I'm answering your question.
Yes, you've answered. Finally on that, would you, because there have been United Nations ratifications to denuclearize the world. Of course, big powers, the United States who have stocked so much, and Russia have been trying to reduce, but it has not really worked out. So would you still urge big powers to destroy the nuclear arsenals they have?
I think so. I think we should. Everything has to be done in a metered way, if I may. We should be considerate. What is it we have in our hands? And I think nuclear weapons should be reduced or extinct from Earth, from the society. And we ought to pay attention to have a much more peaceful, useful way of using our resources. Nuclear weapons is not the answer. As discussions, communications, have a conversation as human beings. All populations around the world ought to rethink their purpose, that we're all humans and we need to help each other and support each other, learn from each other. Yes, we have our differences, but one country threatening to annihilate another country because I have nuclear arsenal is not the answer at all. Because if this thing happens, Earth is going to have a different geography. It's going to have a different climate. It's going to have a different environment, and we don't want to do that. So that is my belief in that. So why do I need to tell you that I have a nuclear arsenal? So what do you understand? So you tell me what? Or I need to have one too? You understand?
Yes.
What about if we have a conversation how to preserve the environment?
Yes.
Improve the education of our students, keep our streets safe from external threats. Have conversations about exchanging goods. Have conversations about our beautiful cultures and how our cultures work together for a purpose of the common good of society. Why do we have to talk about who is more powerful than the other? Why can't we have a soccer game or a basketball game and have fun? Why can't we have a great festival where all of us enjoy the presence of each other, the food from each other, the cultures, the best activities, the best resources one can share with the other? What happens to the good old things, the fundamentals? And why do we spend 90% of our time on the 2%, and yet we don't spend 90% of our time to the 98%.
This is so powerful, Professor. We've just been having a conversation before this dialogue about Africa. You termed Africa to be the next food basket of the world.
Absolutely. And I believe this wholeheartedly. You know, Africa hasn't been explored. Africa is a continent that's made by African countries, about 50, 60 countries, I don't remember the exact number. And each country has its own culture, identity, government, culture, history, language. And we ought to learn from that. And I have learned that when I went to school, back in Athens, Greece, that Africa is made by countries. They have all that. Exchange, you know, commerce, exchange goods, you know, plays sports, and etc. Have flags, and learn about the flags. They have the capitals, the mountains, the rivers. So we ought to learn all this, and we should be visiting Africa. And Africa has also minerals. It has resources for the good of the society. However, all of this cannot be explored or exploited without the human intervention.
Yes.
Like Uganda is called the pearl of Africa. Yeah. Before we learned that 70% of the population of Uganda is 30 years old or younger. Yes. And about 50% of this 70% is 15, 17, 16, 18 years old.
That's true.
Beautiful youth, energetic, powerful. Let's equip them with the tools to continue keeping Uganda as a leader. The same thing applies to the other countries that make the African continent. And Africa has all the terrains. They have the North Africa, the Middle Africa, the South Africa countries. And there's so much to learn, so much to explore, so much to gain, so much to give, etc. in a vested interest partnership with mutual benefits. Learning is a lifelong initiative. That's what I believe about Africa, with its resources, can feed the world. People have to understand that. And the resources, the most important, is the people who live in the continent of Africa. The people who live in every country, the Angolans, the Ugandans, the Tanzanians, the Kenyans, the Rwandans, and so forth. Okay, Africans ought to be united with their countries. And it's the first time I visited Uganda, and I'm so happy. And I told my friends, I'm not telling you goodbye, I'm telling you so long, coming back. So I think I am going to continue educating my students, my friends, my peers of my experiences here in this wonderful country. I'm going to share with them opportunities. But this is negative, no. Well, I'm a professor, and sometimes I see a test, the exam of a student, and it's all red. But over there's a correct answer on a problem. Okay, let's start again from here, converting all this red at the end of the term into blue. And therefore, let's convert our weaknesses into opportunities, into strengths, moving forward. Can we do that? Of course we can. But when can we do that? Only when we want to. If we don't want to, yes, nothing can happen, right? You can take a horse to the river to drink water, but you cannot make it drink water if the horse doesn't want to drink water. So I have one thing I must say, though, that one thing that inspired me in this country, the beautiful country of Uganda, is the people. Beautiful people, elegant, polite, and humble. So thirsty for knowledge, but also so knowledgeable. You have to be able to see it.
Professor, I like the way you have made a full understanding of what Africa maybe has not known its potential. In your opinion, what should be done to exploit this potential for Africa to revive? Because it's still, while it's very rich in minerals and human capital, it remains poor and struggling.
Well, you know, one thing that I notice is that, and seriously I notice that, is that I'm going to go to Uganda because that's the place I've been. You know, I haven't been in another country of Africa, but I intend to do so. Is that people need to understand and listen to the people here.
Oh.
So someone looks poor. I said, talk to me about it. What can you do? And in a way that not to look down upon this person because he or she is poor, but listen to them.
Oh.
I'm a professor. Southern University in Shreveport, Louisiana has that capacity, this capability. Their faculty, their leadership listens to people. We do have poor communities, yes. You see someone, what is your name? My name is so-and-so. What do you do? Have a conversation. Treat this person as a human being. So Africans, like Ugandans, ought to be around and communicate with individuals who see these potentials, not with individuals who see Uganda as a way of benefiting, making financially. So financial is the last thing people should think.
Oh.
Let's talk, let's have a conversation. Let me help. It's not about money all the time.
Yes.
It's about people. Let's have a conversation. Let me buy you a cup of coffee. Tell me about your life. Because remember, every life is equally worth it. No matter what kind of position you have in society. Is the same, is equal. Life, human life, ought to be respected across the board. So let's listen to, do we pay attention to these poor people? Or do we say, oh, it's poor, who cares? No. My wife tells me, why do you need to talk to everybody? Because I like to talk to everybody. What's wrong asking this somebody, you know, this person's name? So I'm teasing her. My wife loves me a lot and I love her quite a bit. And she knows this, you know I'm teasing you, right? I know you are. Let's have a conversation. All right, let's have a conversation. Let's buy this person a cup of coffee. What do you think? How's everything? How is life treating you? You know, I have an opportunity to share with you. What can you teach me? Oh, well, you know, and you start listening that I was in a situation before. I have these skills. I have this knowledge. This is what I can do. Say, listen, you know, would you be interested? I have a little project at home. Can you help me out? I said, sure. When we treat people as people, you will see how things will change.
Wow.
So Africans, Ugandans, because again, this is the people I met from Africa. Of course, I was in Egypt. Ought to be around people who respect them, who show interest. And you are smart enough to understand the other person's intentions. I know that. So this is very critical. You know, again, I gave a lecture earlier, a presentation earlier, but after that, hey, how are you doing? How's everything? What do you said you do? Oh, this is what I do. You know what? I have an idea. What do you think? Not, this is what you should do. What do you think of the idea? Do you think it's a good idea? Tell me your thoughts. Have a conversation, speak to people. Let the people express themselves. Break away from their fears that, oh, I am very poor, I cannot talk to this person. who is rich. No, life is equal.
Oh, wow, so powerful.
Don't you think?
It is.
I mean, between you and I, whose life is more important?
Each one is life, according to you,
Is
Important.
equally important. The brain is that much. It's about that much. How we use it is the key. How we are brought up in society, etc. And because people have difficulties or they had bad luck, what do? We push them further away, or what can we do? So that's the question. What can we do? Give this person a glass of water. Is the only glass of water perhaps this person has received from someone for the last 10 years.
As wine, our senior citizens talk tonight, we're just having a beautiful conversation with Professor John Galiotos. And Professor, you've spoken very interesting words of humanity, equality. Everyone is equal, and everyone should embrace the same opportunities.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And what inspired you to think that way? Because so many people do not regard other people as important. They treat them badly. They don't want to know. The rich are rich. And I mean, did you have a personal experience of life to have?
I had a great brought up by my parents. I had great parents. One of them was a police officer. My father and my mother was a nurse. So their experiences from life made an impact on me. And we had an excellent household. Me and my brother were brought up in a house where respect, understanding, love were practices of every day. Accepting everybody, include everybody, and show hospitality and show emotions of understanding to everybody. And then came to America to study, and I saw a lot. But I was prepared to control my experiences. I had failures, and I learned from failures. So failures were my mentors. And because of the family values that I gained and virtues, helped me to carry on with education and living in Chicago and seeing things that I would have never experienced in Athens, in Greece. Traveling the world, speaking to different people around the world, made me also to accept and respect humanity more and more and more. Then when I became a professor, I teach my classes, and I teach that. And my classes are made from people from across the world, different religion, different color. It's a big thing. With different language, different way of learning. Remember earlier I asked the question, how do you learn? They have styles of learning, so I have to adapt to different styles of students. So when you do all that stuff, and many times I tell the students, you know what, everything is at the molecular level. So I bring a little chemistry there, right? And we're all catalysts of the chemical process called learning. And let me explain to you in your brain what happens, what chemicals take place, and reactions take place. So everybody has fun. Now breaking the ice. So they understand me, they laugh with me, I laugh with them, but the learning comes across. And they tell me that because they gain their trust and they gain mine, they tell me stories of things that they have some difficulties in life. Okay, that's fine. I'm not going to fail you because you have a difficulty in life. So as a professor, I learned I am not in the business of failing people. I'm in the business of educating and learning from others. And I told my students, if you earned an F, it's not because of me. It's because you didn't come to take the test, first test, second test, third test. you have, but you didn't do it. Nor you call me or you send me because I have an emergency and this I want to, so I can arrange with you. I understand. So I'm not in the failing business. I'm in the learning and teaching business, so that you guys, after my classes are over, after you take my classes, move on to the next one, and you have the tools, competence, skills to carry on with your life, endeavors, careers. But also I'm learning from them, without them knowing that I'm learning from them, to become a better professor. So, get from, the behavior and such, you can write things on a piece of paper, but also the human emotion, the three-dimensional, the emotion of the hands, the eyes, the smile or the seriousness of the face, all of that play a role. So all that, bottom line, that taught me to become more accepted, or show more respect, acceptance, understand the different backgrounds, understand the diversity of the world, understand to not only love, my human and respect my fellow human being, but also other animals and other creatures of the world. My friends go hunting, and I tell us to stand up, Pete, let me ask you this. You have a gun and you're waiting for a deer to go live, and you shoot the deer. What do you gain out of this? And you say, yes, I did. What do you gain out of this? And so,
apart from, yes, I got it, what do
you made me feel guilty. No, I'm just asking you what's your emotions, and you understand. But
chemical reactions.
What happened though when you see a person getting better and better? What kind of reactions, as you said correctly, do you have on you? Do you feel jealousy, or you feel, oh my goodness, my fellow human being is improving his or her life, is doing well? Or do you feel, oh, look at him, or look at her? Do you feel an envy? One day, I like to incorporate this practice so that I can improve my life, improve my family, my behavior at home, better teach my son, listen from him as well. My wife, listen from her as well. So, and ensure that my home is as solid as when I was brought up. Solid home, solid people. They will care. When my son gets married, he's going to have a solid home as well, because the virtues are carried on. And I tell him, your genes, you have my genes, but let me tell you about them. We'll enter a conversation with the genes. Dad, stop it. Now, you bring this and you go back to seriousness, so that, it's a way of communicating. I have classes that they're 6 to 9 p.m., right? 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. But I know in the morning people are working. So the learning capacity, ability is from 6 to 8. After that, whatever I say goes from one ear, comes out the other. So you have to be effective, convey the message, understand that the students understood the message you want, is because what you think, what you say, what they understand is 3 different things. Okay? So, and all of this thing has to be harmonious. So all of this, keep positioning me to be much more inclusive, a team player, respect others. And guess what? And if things go south, as they say sometimes, and guess what? The sun is going to come up from the east again. It's not the end of the world. And having this attitude most of the time drives you, keeps you moving forward. And I said most of the time. Sometimes, they're kind of challenging situations. I don't say challenging, but it's okay. Move forward. What do you think?
Perfect.
I think so. I think it's fine. So, Professor, as we wind up our show tonight, I would like to know what inspired you to be what you are, and what is your biography?
Oh, what inspired me? I'll tell you what. It was a doctor and a humanitarian called Albert Schweitzer. We came to Africa many, many years ago. And I read about him when I was a little boy. And I was compelled one day to be like Albert Schweitzer.
Oh, wow.
Dr. Albert Schweitzer. And I did not become a medical doctor, but I became a professor. I graduated, and I got a doctorate degree. So I graduated from Northeastern Illinois University with a degree in chemistry, and then a master's degree from the University of Illinois, and then a PhD in analytical and organic chemistry from the University of Illinois as well. I worked for the chemical fertilizer industry, so I made chemical fertilizers, solid, and then I went to the University of Oklahoma, where I worked with my postdoc, but working for a company in developing fire retardants, water repellents, fuels, and pesticides. I realized I did my research at the University of Illinois as well, and also the University of Oklahoma, but I realized that when people graduate from education institutions, do not know the real, because I'm an person from that. So did not know the real world, and therefore I decided to go to teaching but relevant education that impacts the real world. And I became a first professor of chemistry, but what I teach, I related to the real world, and then the Dean of Workforce Development at Southern University. Before, I had other positions as a Dean, a Division Chair, founder of the Houston Community College Energy Institute, the first entity of its kind in the United States in 2001. And then I moved and I worked in Abu Dhabi for Abu Dhabi Abu Dhabi National Oil Company. Went to New York to be the Senior Vice President of Workforce Development at Suffolk County Community College. And from there, I wanted to come down to the southern states. And I'm glad I am where I am. Southern University is an HBCU institution, a historic black college university with a great deal of values, a hell of a heritage, and successes and achievements in its career of operations. And I'm not stopping here. I'm looking forward to better things, better projects, better partnerships in improving humanity, and hopefully here in Africa, in the center of Africa, in the pearl of Africa, which is called Uganda. Smart man.
Is there anything else that you would like to say as well?
I'm so pleased for having me here, and hopefully we're going to have another conversation or continue with our conversation in the future.
It's been a pleasure to host Professor John Galiotos from the Southern University in Louisiana, United States of America, Associate Professor of Chemistry here on the Senior Citizen Talk of HICGI News Agency, on the camera and our producer today from Incredible Youth, Brian Tuatua. Until next time, my name is Chivumbi Ernest Benjamin.